Welcome to channel. Today, we explore story filled with unexpected twists. Please, subscribe and like to stay updated. Let's begin. A guy initiating a relationship with a married lady is always frightened of being discovered by her husband, but it is only a matter of time until the truth is revealed. My wife attempted to conceal her affair, forcing our marriage to suffer more with each lie, ultimately leading to disastrous repercussions for her. I attempted to reject the peculiar sensation that came over me 4 weekends ago as I was close to Alice, my wife of 15 years. There was certainly something wrong, but I couldn't figure out what it was. We spent the weekend as normal, but there was a perceptible difference in the atmosphere. This emotion persisted even throughout the brief gathering the following Sunday. I couldn't uncover anything weird or abnormal in the bedroom or in my relationship with Alice, but this sensation persisted, forcing me to launch an inquiry. There was no question that Alice was the source of this emotion. Perhaps there was a rational explanation why I felt compelled to question her about something she would consider too unimportant to share. This opportunity presented itself the following evening, when our children were watching their favorite TV program and Alice and I were sitting in the living room reading newspapers. "I've noticed that you haven't been yourself lately. Is everything fine?" I said carefully. She paused for a second, a glint of anxiety in her eyes, but immediately waved it aside, smiling. "What are you talking about?" "It's okay," she said, attempting to dismiss my anxiety. But I sensed something was upsetting her, so I proceeded carefully. "Don't lie to me. If something goes wrong, we'll get through it together," I promised her, stressing the need of collaboration in conquering adversity. "They'll figure it out anyway," I said. A single look showed her genuine feelings, which contradicted her statements. "If I had any problems, I would have told you. Didn't we always tell each other about our problems?" She told me with confidence. "Yes, and I believe that it will always be so," I said him. When we finished chatting, I couldn't escape the impression that something had shifted in our relationship. I couldn't help but wonder whether she was going through financial issues and didn't want to bother me with them. Despite the improbability of her engagement in gambling, it occurred to me that she may have made some poor investments or given money to someone who couldn't repay it. While she slept, I entered into all of our bank accounts using a secure internet connection, and everything was great. However, the sensation of discomfort persisted. If it wasn't a money issue, the only option was something that, as far as I could tell, could only happen to other people, not me. For 15 years, I, John Walker, and my wife, Alice, enjoyed what seemed to be a blissful marriage. Alice never displayed symptoms of sadness, so I believed she was also pleased. We had 2 great children, a 12-year-old boy and a 10-year-old girl, a nice home in the center of Brussels, fantastic connections with loved ones, consistent employment, and financial security. Fortunately, we avoided significant arguments and had fewer small conflicts than other couples we knew. So I was astonished when I began to suspect something was wrong, particularly in personal situations. I became nervous when the notion occurred to me that she may be cheating on me. I couldn't shake the suspicion that she was grappling with a sense of shame that she couldn't fully conceal. Now, the issue of why she might betray me and with whom it may happen was intense. The next Thursday, I began my hunt for the lover of the partner of my life. I went to a technology store. The salesman, who was approximately my age, attentively listened to my needs and recommended 2 devices from the most recent series of tiny Japanese digital voice recorders with sound activation, which are suitable for continuous use. Although they were pricey, their utility made them a worthwhile purchase, particularly because having 2 devices enabled me to listen to one while using the other. I intended to use the recorder in her vehicle, which I cleaned every Friday. I wasn't naive enough to think she'd betray me in her cheap Toyota Corolla, but it was her own sanctuary where she could talk on her mobile phone without being overheard. Later on Thursday evening, a strange individual from China gave me another piece of the jigsaw. While reading the evening newspaper, I came across a little story of a Chinese husband who discovered his wife with a boyfriend. I repeated this tale to Alice, assuring her that if I ever discovered she had a boyfriend, I would not take drastic actions like the guy in the story did. On the contrary, I would make his masculinity suffer rather than his life. Fear appeared on her face, and she yelled, wondering if I knew she had a partner. In a flash of rage, I started to question why she was so furious. Because I only said if, not when I would find her lover. "You accuse me of deceit and unreasonable actions," Alice said with anger. "I'm not accusing you of anything. but I'm surprised by your violent reaction to my vow to protect you from any womanizer who tries to harm you. Didn't you always think that such people should be punished? I was puzzled. She furiously exited the room without saying anything further, and I knew I wouldn't be able to spend the weekend with her. Alice oozed sophistication. She had a knack for dressing elegantly with a feminine touch. Even at the age of 39, she was still regarded as a lovely lady at the production firm, despite her younger colleagues' more typical beauty. Alice's charisma was unparalleled. She was still the favored dancer for business gatherings, exhibiting elegance and self-control. In addition to her physical appeal, Alice had a keen intellect and eloquence in meetings, which earned her a well-deserved promotion and a somewhat better pay than mine. Despite our challenges, Alice had always avoided cheating, which was great. She cut off all links with one of my good friends, David, who reconnected with his wife after she left him for a football star. Alice glanced at him with disgust rather than pity. I understood I had slipped into a perilous trap, with only negative consequences on the horizon. In the worst-case scenario, I may discover her boyfriend, engage in a violent battle with him, win myself in jail, and finally lose Alice. After meditating about the problem, I recognized there were no simple solutions. One alternative was to find the man, speak to Alice, and attempt to persuade her to break up with him and forgive herself. But I knew this would make me seem weak in her eyes and fuel her wrath. Another alternative was to get Alice to break up with her boyfriend before I discovered him and pretend everything was normal. But would I still feel like a man after experiencing such humiliation? This choice was marginally better, but far from perfect. Alice disliked cheating unless there was a strong personal connection with another person, which complicated matters. If she really had affections for someone else, she would have followed him aggressively, maybe even leaving me and marrying him if the chance arose. The following day, I started extensively cleaning and organizing Alice's car, a task that was not part of my weekly schedule. While working, I discovered an old receipt buried in an ashtray amid a stack of previous parking fines, which piqued my interest and led to even more queries regarding Alice's recent actions. The receipt came from a petrol station on the outskirts of the city and showed a transaction made the previous Friday. It included a bottle of shower gel and a bottle of Coke. It seemed weird to me that she went shopping during her lunch break, particularly because there were several stores along her typical route from work to home. I wasn't acquainted with the shower gel brand, so I wondered whether she needed it right now. Just beyond the petrol station was a low-cost hotel popular among guys who cheat on their spouses. Thinking about the potential of disclosing the identity of the elusive person I was pursuing, I couldn't help but be concerned that my own marriage might soon suffer the same fate. On Friday evening, Alice attempted to infuse some comedy into our difficult relationship by playfully asking, "Have you found my lover yet?" Instead of responding with a straightforward no, I hesitated. "Not yet, my love, but the birds are humming a sad tune, I told you." "What are you implying?" she said, showing her anxiety. "Only the truth. An anonymous source informed me about you," I said, alluding to her reputation as someone who despises deception. Her eyes betrayed her fear. "Do you really believe in such absurdities?" Alice inquired anxiously. "I don't usually do this, but your recent strange actions have made me worried. Why would a gossip lover like your lover not brag about such a juicy story? But I sincerely hope that this is just idle chatter," I told you. It was clear that following my chat with her, our marriage started to seem distant. I purposefully seeded seeds of doubt in her mind, anticipating that she would chastise her beloved for his bold speech. She was aware of my concerns, but she was unsure how much I knew or who had informed me. On Thursday morning, I used the chance to wash her vehicle and discreetly replace the radio with an empty one. While Alice and our daughter were conducting errands at the store, I listened intently to the audio. To my surprise, just one call had been made all week, and it provided no relevant information. The interlocutor's name was not revealed throughout the talk, and neither her partner nor I were mentioned. Instead, the talk revolved about purchasing a birthday gift for someone else. The only fascinating aspect was her vague concerns about undefined issues. Another Thursday night went without a physical connection between us. My marriage's lack of intimacy was getting excruciating, and I realized I needed to address the issue. Despite the fact that my wife displayed no visible indicators of cheating, for example, she did not dress provocatively, work late, or get strange phone calls, I couldn't shake the suspicion that she was dishonest. I was disturbed by suspicions and unsure how to convey my anxieties. They were so devious that I couldn't discover any tangible proof. On Friday morning, I resolved to put my ego aside and give her one more shot to preserve our marriage. I need to talk to you about something very important. Could you listen to me without interrupting? I made the request. She agreed. Our relationship is clearly in a deplorable state, but I love you so much that I'm ready to do anything to fix it, I told you. Although I have serious suspicions that you are unfaithful, I am willing to offer you a chance at reconciliation. If you are ready to end the affair and reveal the identity of your lover, I will forgive you both and commit to moving on without discussing this issue in future disagreements. This is a crucial moment for us to save our marriage, and am giving you this opportunity. Please take 1 hour to think about it and give your answer. A simple yes or no is enough. After a little lull, she glanced at me and said, "Nice try, Mark, but I don't need an alibi because I don't have a lover, and I have nothing to confess. You can either love me or leave me. I'm getting more and more tired of your constant accusations, and soon I won't care what you decide," she said sheepishly. Alice performed a smart game, postponing her marriage until she chose the appropriate time to leave me. Despite my suspicion in her adultery, I waited until I had specific proof before filing for divorce. I decided to disclose the identity of my wife's secret admirer and surreptitiously put the recorder in the living room before softly leaving the home. I decided to go to a neighboring lake and take a leisurely walk along its meandering trails, reflecting about Alice and our relationship. We had been together for 17 years, and for the most part, I felt we were happy. We were married for 16 of those 17 years. Despite the fact that she just declared that she did not want to salvage our marriage, she had spoken her thoughts clearly. Our first encounter was anything from typical. Alice, who had just moved to the neighborhood, put a short ad in the local newspaper in quest of a life companion. My buddies took the time to react on my behalf, knowing that I was back on the hunt after a succession of brief relationships. To my surprise, Alice contacted me personally, prompting a phone chat that resulted in our first date. Our date was clearly a success since we discovered similar ground right away. Our excellent relationship, which has lasted over 17 years, demonstrates that we support one another throughout tough times. Following a relaxing lunch in the city, I went to work as a civil engineer for a prominent real estate firm. I was now working on a project that required the complete restoration of a lovely historic mansion in the city center. After a hard day at work, I decided to unwind by sipping a few glasses of wine. After leaving a message indicating that I would be working on Friday and staying late on Sunday, I headed to one of my favorite pubs to unwind and recover. I was startled to see more people than normal on a Friday evening, and I was delighted to see several of them. As a consequence, we got seats together and enjoyed speaking. To my amazement, there was also a representative from the technology store where I purchased my voice recorders. He approached me and inquired how I was doing. After hearing about my problems, he offered compassion and inquired about my wife's cell phone. When I gave him the brand and model, he assured me that we were fortunate. The Flex Trojan might have been placed on the phone. He also provided me the internet URL of the Thai firm that sells this application. I thanked him for his advice and handed him some whiskey. When I switched on my phone, I saw no missed calls or texts from Alice, indicating that she was not concerned about my movements throughout the day. She claimed to be sleeping when I arrived home after midnight and didn't bother to wake me up in the morning when she got out of bed. As soon as Alice departed for work and the kids went to school, I checked the recorder. Alice had a tendency of sitting in her favorite recliner in the living room while using a mobile or wireless phone from the kitchen. Luck was on my side this time. She called her closest friend, Rachel. To my astonishment, she seemed to be weeping at the start of their chat, which lasted more than 30 minutes. Alice admitted to Rachel that I had wrecked her passionate love tale. She and her buddy, as she referred to him, agreed to wait 4 months before making a final choice on the divorce and whether to continue their connection or discontinue it entirely. But, somehow, I learned about their intentions and threatened to hurt him if I discovered his name. After Rachel consoled Alice, she inquired if she had told David anything about her romance. Rachel's actions made it evident that she was attempting to urge Alice not to reveal anything to David in order to save their marriage. Alice proposed a sensible solution, but Rachel rejected it, refusing to accept her error because she felt she could work it out on her own and that no one had the right to meddle. It was quite disheartening to watch Alice behaving in such a horrible manner. But the shock and reality did not stop there. Alice questioned Rachel about the length of her romance with Ryan. Alice assured Rachel that she had not told anybody anything and pledged to be quiet from now on, so David was clearly unaware. The remainder of their talk was normal female banter, which I didn't find interesting. But my attitude improved dramatically since I had devised a strategy for bringing everything to light and discovering who my wife was having an affair with. Ryan has spent many years as a goalie for one of the top football clubs in our first division. He said he obtained his moniker after competing in a silly and failed banana weight reduction contest sponsored by a women's magazine. He talked about being a charmer with a great body. At the age of 40, he was the prosperous owner of one of the city's greatest hotels. Not a terrible option for a wife seeking extracurricular stimulation. I've known David since high school, but I dislike him because he's a cocky guy who stole my lovely girlfriend, Rachel, from me when we were 17 years old. The only reason I see him sometimes is because he is married to Alice's closest friend, and our children are the same age. I'm sure he enjoyed learning about Alice's adultery via Rachel, but now it was my chance to get even. I phoned him at work and switched to a pleasant tone. "How's your morning going?" I inquired. "Okay, thanks. How can I help you, Mark? Isn't that what friends are for, after all?" I heard Rachel blabbed about Alice's new hobby. "Do you want to tell me who caught her attention this time?" inquired David with a sardonic smile. "Actually, it's you," I said fiercely. "This can't be happening. I don't know anything about it. I didn't even think she was capable of such a thing. One thing is for sure, this time it's not me." David's voice was shaking. "I'm not accusing you, my dear friend," I said. "I know that Rachel is well aware of the situation. I trust Rachel, and I know she doesn't keep secrets from you. Of course, she told you about Alice's infidelity." "No, I swear she didn't do it. But I'll try to gather more information and call you as soon as I have something," says David. "Are you refusing to share with me?" I inquired angrily. "Why should I care who your wife is involved with? I have my own wife, and that's enough for me," he told me. "How about we exchange information? You share it with me, and I'll share it with you." "Great job, my friend. Unfortunately, I don't have any information that I can share with you," David said with a wink. If this moron believed he could frighten me, it was time to address previous issues. "I have information," I responded. "Alice told me that Ryan and Rachel had an unexpectedly passionate relationship that lasted 3 months. Did you even know when he was dating her?" David immediately terminated the talk, leaving me to believe that he disliked me just as much as I hated him. I proceeded to the website of a mobile phone software vendor in Thailand, paid, and successfully downloaded the Fetch application to my phone. After emptying the recorder's memory and resetting it, I completed all of the required steps before leaving for work, including sending messages to my children informing them that I would not be home all night. I packed my trip suitcase and left, feeling somewhat better than the day before. My phone remained quiet during the whole working day. After leaving the home, I went to the hotel where I believed Alice and her partner were staying. When I booked a place for the night, I realized I needed to buy shower gel since I wanted to relax before supper. Rachel's outraged voice interrupted my thoughts. I took up the phone and heard her cry, accusing me of being a scoundrel and questioning why I had done this to her. Confused, I said, "What did I do?" "You were fully aware of the consequences of your actions. Your behavior is despicable. You played a major role in the breakdown of my marriage. Why did you decide to hurt me so much, Mark?" she questioned, tears streaming down her face. "Instead of blaming me," I said, "direct your anger at David. He deliberately tried to shame me and taunted me for being a cuckold. I had no choice but to defend myself, so I went on. David was hospitalized after provoking a fight at the hotel and now lives with his parents. It's all because of you. Are you aware of the consequences of your actions? What are you planning to do to fix the situation?" Rachel was talking to herself on the phone. "Why should I deal with the consequences of your actions?" I was confused. I tried to be honest and said that every issue had a solution. "Just tell me about the person associated with Alice, and I can help you." "Stupid snake. Do you really think I'm that gullible? I hate your disgusting wife, but I despise you even more. You can chase your demons by yourself without my help," she said me with scorn. "Good. And the last thing I want to tell you, Rachel, is that I've always dreamed of being with you. Can we do this now that we're both free?" I asked her. Her response was just fantastic. Rachel abruptly hung up the phone. I prepared myself for a furious call from Alice, but to my surprise, she did not call me that evening. I asked my old army friend, Paul, for advice on how to act in a scenario if and when I met Alice, and I chose to use some of the skills I gained while serving in the Army. Despite the fact that I was not a member of any special Green Beret squad, I worked as a corporal at a mobile petrol station. Since mobile gas stations were in short supply during my service, we spent the most of the day in the garage workshop, playing cards with the men from the transport squad. Paul was a one-of-a-kind individual with an extensive network who could solve practically anything. But one day, he encountered a terrible position. Two wonderful friends welcomed us to a summer cottage for the weekend, and Paul took care of the beverages. The only difficulty was that neither of us had any money. Paul stayed cool and informed me that he had a strategy for dealing with the matter. On a dark night, we sneaked our way to a quiet suburban community where Paul had picked a home. He used a sophisticated trick to open the front door and encouraged me to accompany him inside, where the family was comfortably asleep. I was happy to discover a bottle of whiskey and 2 bottles of wine in the kitchen closet, allowing us to go swiftly. When we returned to the street, I vowed myself that I would never act like this again. However, the penetration talents were quite valuable to me. I had to break into a residence where people were asleep again to perform my errand. Fortunately, it was my own home, and I had the key. I parked at a public lot in our area, not far from my home. When I arrived, I discovered Alice's cell phone stashed in her handbag. I instantly carried it into my office and went through the numbers and messages, the most of which were erased. After quietly installing the Trojan software, I removed the dictaphone from the living room and vanished without a trace. Back at the hotel, I anxiously listened to the recording on the gadget. To my amazement, I won the lotto once again. While listening to the tape, I overheard Alice pick up the phone and inform the caller that I was not at home, demonstrating her disinterest in my whereabouts. Her voice was angry as she continued to talk. "What are you talking about anyway? It's all false. I've never spoken to him," Alice said the caller. "Didn't you hear what I said?" Rachel inquired. "Are you accusing me of lying, or is it my fault?" Alice said. "You're completely insane," Rachel said disgustedly. "I must have lost Mark, and you're a fool mourning someone like David. I don't want to see you anymore either." Alice expressed disgust. Alice seemed to grasp that everything had repercussions, and despite recognizing it on Sunday morning, she believed her affair was worth the hardship it had cost. After she rejected my effort to repair our differences, I hoped Alice's connection with my buddy would give her with a better future than I could. Perhaps this affected her choice to depart our sad marriage in pursuit of better opportunities. This explanation might help explain her conduct. I had a breakthrough the following morning at 7 a.m. When I visited the site where the Trojan software kept communications from Alice's phone, I saw a text message she had sent to her boyfriend. "I look forward to your return to the city. Our problem continues because Mark has heard rumors that I may have a lover, although he does not know about your existence. Please be careful because Mark has threatened to harm anyone he recognizes as my lover. I keep you in my heart and can't wait for us to be together again." The message terminated. I visited the telecoms company's website and discovered that the number I required was not on the list. Despite this, I decided to attempt a simple trick and phoned the number. A guy replied, introducing himself as Daniel. The scenario was ludicrous since his name, Daniel, sounded like mine, Mark. "Good morning, Daniel. Congratulations. You have won a 6-month free subscription to our newly equipped gym. Could you please provide your name and address?" "The subscription will be mailed to you within a few days," I said, pretending to be a gym membership salesperson. "This is the 3rd call from a seller this morning. Take your card and shove it." He snarled, plainly irritated by the barrage of irritating calls. Although I hadn't made a deal yet, I knew I had found the perpetrator. In the afternoon, while doing errands in the city, I stopped by the courtroom to settle some business. After returning from work, I encountered Alice for the first time since Sunday morning. She was visibly unhappy. As soon as she walked into the home and we met in the kitchen, she began screaming. "Why did you mix Rachel up with this?" she demanded. "I didn't do anything with Rachel," I responded, shocked. "Didn't you tell David that she was having an affair with Ryan?" she questioned. "How do I know about this?" I asked, shrugging. "Why did you tell David about this and then turn around and accuse me of sharing information with you?" Alice was screaming. "David was acting weird and joking that you were cheating on me, so I had to stop him. I only mentioned you to protect the true source," I said. "Why didn't you ever tell me about Rachel? Do you have many secrets?" After absorbing the exchange, I said, "Alice, your behavior has been getting out of control lately, and I'm sick of it. If you don't stop this nonsense immediately, they'll go to a divorce lawyer. Fine, I said just as coldly. That's the most meaningful thing you've said in a while, she joked. Today, I received the divorce papers from the court, and we can file them together later, I said calmly. It was evident that she now realized how much agony her adultery had cost me, and that my intention to divorce was genuine. Her face paled, and she muttered, "Can't we both take a break to calm down before doing something we'll regret later? Why didn't you take a break to collect your thoughts and think about the consequences before getting involved in a relationship with Daniel? And why did you refuse the kind offer I made on Friday morning? Why didn't you show any concern, especially when it was the last opportunity to save our marriage?" I responded with ire. Her face slumped when the name Daniel came up, and tears streamed down her cheeks. What about our children and our house? We are not the only couple going through a breakup. Why not try to see the positives in this? Now you have the freedom to spend all the time you want with your beloved Daniel, I said with a grin. I will do my best to deal with him, I promised. It's impossible, she muttered. No, it's possible. I made a commitment, and you know that I always fulfill it, I said softly. She bolted from the kitchen, screaming, and went to the restroom. I moved into the living room and began working on the divorce paperwork. About 15 minutes later, she approached me quickly. Did you talk about hurting Daniel? She inquired. This inquiry instantly raised my suspicions, so I kept a tight eye on her. I observed an unusual protrusion between her breasts below her top. It quickly dawned on me that this was her cell phone, which was most likely used to discreetly record our talk. Keeping cool and courteous, I responded, "I'm sorry, but I have no idea who this Daniel is or why I would want to hurt him." Well, you started talking about him yourself. Why should I know anything about him? I fumed. Because you accuse me of having an affair with him, she said. A novel? I inquired. It was difficult for me to believe it. She recognized I was smiling at her efforts to acquire information against me in relation to Daniel. She left the living room again, and I went to my office for the remainder of the night. When I examined her phone activity again, I saw she had gotten a message from her lover and responded to it. The communication came from Daniel. My love, I missed you so much while I was with Natalie all last week. Every night I couldn't stop thinking about you. I'm looking forward to our upcoming meeting. As for Mark, in my opinion, he only talks but does not act. Let's keep our plans a secret until they come to fruition. As always, yours, Daniel. She answered. Dear, our situation has escalated. Mark should not be underestimated. He intends to do harm if he gets the chance. He has already started divorce proceedings and ruined my friend's marriage because of her affair. My love for you is still strong. My marriage broke up because of this Mark, and now it's my turn to ruin my relationship with Natalie. Apparently, his wife was becoming increasingly real. Although I simply knew his name, I felt certain in my impending win. When I returned to bed, Alice had already fallen asleep. The next morning, she refused to sign the divorce paperwork I had prepared the day before. I wasn't troubled by her absence since I knew the divorce would happen within 5 months, whether she cooperated or objected. I did not hesitate to file the relevant documentation with the court. In a chat with my secretary at work, I expressed my dismay about my wife's connection with her boyfriend, Daniel. She gave me her support and phoned him, putting him on speakerphone so that I could listen in. When Daniel responded with his normal hello, she identified herself as Jennifer and requested to speak with Eric, as she needed to speak with him immediately. Eric's not here right now, Daniel said over the phone. It looks like he's deliberately avoiding me. Please tell this coward that if he doesn't have the courage to talk to me in the next 30 seconds, we'll make plans for tomorrow night with someone else, Jennifer added with a giggle. Unfortunately, I was unable to contact Eric. Maybe I can help you with something? What are your plans for tomorrow? Daniel inquired. No plans, Jennifer said. Why don't we meet at the Majestic Bar at 7 p.m.? Will that suit you? Daniel joked. And how can I recognize you? I am looking forward to our date with pleasure and impatience. Just so you know, I'm tall, blonde, and slim, Jennifer said me. Please keep in mind that I can only meet during the day, he remarked. I have the opportunity to go to a friend's apartment in the city, so we can continue our date if we like each other, she said. I don't recognize you. I don't think you're Eric's colleague, Jennifer remarked seriously. My name is Daniel Westman, and he'll be waiting for you at the Majestic Bar. I'm coming in a black Mercedes, he said. Good. I'm looking forward to meeting you, Jennifer said. An exceedingly patient guy quickly fell for our lie, even claiming to know Eric. I eventually solved the conundrum, and gathering information about him became much easier. Paul and I discovered that he is presently married to a schoolteacher, and his kid plays for the same football club as mine. He works as a real estate agent, as demonstrated by his expensive Mercedes and huge home. Despite his affluence, he seems to be an average guy in his 40s. Paul proposed an appropriate sentence for him, but we decided to wait until he was linked to other suspects. Alice attempted to contact him by text message, but after getting no answer, she tried again unsuccessfully before sending another message. "Dear, please contact me at your earliest opportunity." It turned out that recent communication had caused a noticeable shift in his feelings for her, reducing his once intense love for Alice to a casual infatuation. He fooled her with phony protestations of love. That evening, Alice and I attempted to find common ground in discussion. After examining her phone using my software, I discovered 2 failed attempts to contact Daniel. "Dear, please call me as soon as possible," Alice said again, but received no response. I couldn't help but feel terrible for her. She had fallen deeply in love with this jerk, who now spit on her when she needed him the most. The following morning, I proposed that she leave the bedroom until one of us could find another place to stay. She consented without dispute, but I could see she wasn't thrilled about having to go. Trying to cheer her up, I recalled a friend of mine, Daniel Westman, whose kid played on the same football team as ours and who worked as a real estate agent. I volunteered to contact him on her behalf. Alice did not appreciate my well-intended offer, but she did seem to comprehend that I knew about her partner. While it was certainly improper to tease her, I thought it was quite innocuous in comparison to the end of her second marriage. During lunch, I checked my phone and found that there were no new text messages. However, I saw 5 successful attempts to reach Daniel's mobile phone, 5 brief calls to his workplace, and 2 calls to the school. He had clearly lost interest in her. On Thursday morning, Laura Bennett contacted me and informed me that she was married to Daniel Westman, the man who was having an affair with my wife. I was already aware of the situation, and I couldn't help but think that if I were him, I'd pack my belongings and leave town as quickly as possible. "Did you know that your wife completely lost her temper when she came to his office yesterday after work? She threw a printer in his face, and he had to go to the hospital," she informed me. "No, I think she was already asleep when I got home very late. She didn't talk about anything at breakfast today," I told her. "Nevertheless, I would like to discuss our problems with you. How about we meet at the Majestic Bar at 7 today?" Natalie offered. "Why not?" "7 suits me," I said. I arrived on time and quickly recognized her with a youngster who went to the same football school as my son, making my search easy. She was a bright lady in her 40s, nicely dressed, and had the confidence of a seasoned professional. I offered her a drink, and she gladly accepted. We spoke pleasantly, and she casually said that she had a hotel room and offered to transfer our discussion there so we could converse privately. Without hesitation, I accepted. An hour later, after she had taken the kid away, we were in a room, seated at a tiny table, when she said, "How long have you known?" she inquired. I acknowledged that I had had suspicions for many weeks, but they were finally verified yesterday. She said that she had also learned about it yesterday, when my wife made a scandal in his workplace. I told her that I had begun the divorce proceedings and inquired about her plans. She responded that she wanted a divorce as soon as possible. She was vehemently opposed to the use of physical force and recalled hearing Alice ranting about my supposed intentions against Daniel the day before at his office. She questioned me, saying, "Is this true?" I refused to concede anything until there was actual proof that I was incorrect, and I was certain that I wasn't the only one who wanted to take action against him. "Most likely, this is not true. Although he persistently insisted that your wife is the only one with whom he has ever cheated," Natalie told me. This was a foolish comment. I told my secretary to pretend to phone the incorrect number, and he didn't waste any time convincing her to go on a date with him. "Can I convince you to reconsider your intentions to enter into conflict with him if I suggest a more peaceful way of communicating?" she was asking. I nodded in agreement, indicating my opposition to violent conflicts and claiming that Alice's actions the day before had been sufficient. When they married, her parents generously contributed to their home and his company, and practically all of their property was transferred to her name so that he would not inherit anything. She insisted on having exclusive custody of their kid, allowing Daniel to see him only on weekends. The circumstance was challenging, but she believed she earned it. She then offered, "If you agree with my plan, I ask you to spend the night with me in this room so that I can honestly say that we spent the night together. We will decide for ourselves where to sleep, whether in bed or on the couch. Will you keep this a secret? Her sudden offer surprised me. I agreed, pledging to keep our friendship a secret. When I got into bed, she pulled a bottle of champagne from her purse. Her grin was pleasant and welcoming. We split the bubbly drink and spoke until the bottle was gone. Natalie then indicated her desire to go for the night. I felt her stare calling me to join her in bed, and I immediately complied. She turned out the light and softly asked if I wanted to snuggle with her till the morning. I consented without hesitation, well aware that this may lead to something more. It had been years since I had been emotionally connected to anybody other than Alice, but Natalie provided a feeling of rejuvenation when I discovered my wife's adultery. That evening, we had 2 private moments. We promptly made another appointment for next Sunday since Natalie had other obligations to see her sister over the weekend. When I arrived home on Thursday morning, Alice did not inquire about my adventures. Instead, she asked me to dinner to talk about our practical concerns. Later in the evening, I proposed postponing the talk for Friday, citing arrangements with friends who were going to invite me someplace to cheer up. They had reserved a table at a hotel where a prominent musical group was going to play. To my amazement, I saw Rachel at the bar, and she looked stunning, surrounded by 3 companions. Despite my initial reservations, I summoned the bravery and asked her to dance. Going to her table, I delivered her the invitation, and to my astonishment, she reluctantly accepted. She never moved away from my side as we rocked to the slow melody's beat. Following the dance, we had a pleasant talk in the bar. Taking chances had always been a part of my philosophy, so I was taken aback when she accepted my invitation to dance for the last time. I knew David had ended his relationship with her because of me, so I expected her to retain a grudge, but she consented to dance with me nonetheless, which baffled me but made me glad. Her agreement to the final dance indicated that she was willing to walk me home, which she did. She exuded sexiness that evening, and I ignored the idea that her goal was to anger Alice. Rachel and I were both going through divorce and had the freedom to pursue our dreams. When we got to her home, she grabbed me firmly and said, "I wanted you because I was jealous of Alice. We are here, and the time has come, and now or never." "I understand," I said. And soon we were in her bedroom, enjoying a relaxing conclusion to the evening. As we lay there after the incredible passion that consumed us, she started to convey her displeasure with Alice's choice to cheat on me with a guy like Daniel. I professed my affections to her, but she politely rejected, stating, "Please don't, because I have a date with a man tomorrow, and I think he might propose to me. If he agrees, I will gladly say yes and promise to be a faithful wife. In the meantime, let's enjoy this night together and make it truly unforgettable," Rachel said to her. And she became memorable. This unforgettable night will remain with me forever. When I got home on Friday morning, Alice was peaceful, and I went straight to bed, feeling fulfilled and looking forward to a pleasant vacation. My parents opted not to get involved in our disagreements with Alice, and they generously cared for our children while Alice and I had a pleasant meal together. Despite the temptation, I attempted to maintain a platonic and polite relationship with Alice. The talk at supper was cordial and focused on our children and their well-being. Later, Alice shown real interest in my personal life by asking me about filing for divorce and the reasons for doing so. I replied that I want an equal share in all areas, including joint custody of our children. I offered that one of us maintain a house for themselves so that the children have a permanent home while still spending time with the other parent. Alice agreed to my requirements without opposition, and I agreed to her condition that we never use our children as pawns or yell at them. She inquired, "What are your intentions with Daniel? You hit him hard, and Natalie is not going to press charges for damaging her belongings." According to her lawyer's forecasts, when they're done with him, Daniel will be left with nothing. He has no property, not even a share in their property, no house, no savings, no Mercedes, no bike. Everything was bought with the company's funds, and all the shares in the business belonged exclusively to Natalie. I said, "How well do you know Natalie?" Alice questioned, shocked. "I actually know her pretty well, hopefully. Is there any chance that you will forgive me and reconsider the decision to divorce?" Alice pleaded, her eyes filled with hope and grief. The last chance was Friday morning. Although it was very painful for me then, when you hesitated for no more than a few seconds before leaving me, it felt like you had plunged a knife into my heart. I told you, "I am really sorry, Mark. You are a wonderful man in many ways, and I will miss you very much. Unfortunately, I have to admit that I cannot continue to live with you after all the suffering that you have caused me," I told him. She confessed that her adultery had an impact on 11 individuals, including 5 adults and 5 children. Tears flowed from her eyes as she professed genuine guilt and understanding for her conduct. Despite her earnest apologies, Alice did not discuss the reasons for her affair with Daniel, how it started, or what transpired between them. She stated that her actions were dumb and that she truly regretted them. It is unknown if her sorrow sprang from being discovered and facing the repercussions, or because she comprehended Daniel's selfish intentions for the affair. I disclosed Alice's hidden relationship using sophisticated voice recorders and a Trojan application installed on her phone. After taking the recorder from her vehicle and wiping my phone, I decided to call off my planned retribution on Daniel. With Paul's assistance, I was able to come up with a credible alibi. Natalie moved out of her home 2 weeks later after finding a lovely apartment. She offered me a significant offer to buy out her half of the home, and I accepted. Our connection was intact, but our children did not develop a strong bond. We could not live in the same home. Daniel relocated to another city to work at his brother's construction firm. I maintained my promise and chose not to date him again once he began dating Alice. Rachel and Ryan married, and Natalie and I were invited to a celebration at his hotel to commemorate their relocation together. Rachel indicated that Alice was furious when she learned about my friendship with Natalie. She even contacted Rachel in a frenzy and accused her of attempting to seduce me for one night. If Alice had asked me, I would have said that I was looking forward to that night. Currently, Alice and I enjoy amicable ties, mostly because of our children. However, she had previously questioned my motivations when I began dating Natalie and spent the night with Rachel. I told her that my dates were not driven by a desire for vengeance. I emphasized that, as a single middle-aged guy, I valued the camaraderie offered in these partnerships. Alice glanced at me with a knowing gaze and a small grin, indicating that she understood. I knew Alice truly wanted to repair our relationship. She told a mutual acquaintance she planned to be alone for at least 3 years, focused exclusively on waiting for me and not looking for a new relationship. But it didn't last long. Alice continued to spend evenings with many guys, perhaps seeking to broaden her closeness. Alice soon discovered that she was unwell. She had acquired an HIV infection. A dark streak started throughout her life. Alice was involved in a vehicle accident shortly thereafter and was unable to move on her own for quite some time. Alice lost a lot of weight while she recovered from her illness. She seemed ill and sad, and she deserved it. Thank you for watching. What are your thoughts? Did Alice deserve what occurred, or did Mark go too far? Please let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell for more tales.